Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today I have had the opportunity to play with the new Peach Suite in the new annual catalog. And I have come up with a card that was inspired by a call that I got from one of my team members who had seen a video that I did maybe 3 years ago. And I did one that was a gatefold card, but the gatefold was different in that it was an S-curve. And she was looking for a template for the S-curve. And I remembered that when I put that card together, it was very challenging because I didn't have a template to go by. And I got to thinking about it in looking to send her what I did have, that we still have the curvy dies. And I thought that would work. And so I made a template for her and sent it to her. But it inspired me for today's card to make an S-curve gatefold card that uses the Peach Suite. So that's what we're going to do today, and let's just get started. Okay, so here is my card. I had so much fun with this, and I am tickled with the way this came out. So this is a gatefold card, but it's a little different in that it's the S-curve here on the front of the card, and it has a belly band that is very busy. I have all kinds of things on this belly band, and I'm using some of the designer series paper in this Peach Suite, some more here, and then on the inside I have a little bit of that soft or pale papaya ribbon and another piece of the designer series paper that matches the belly band. So this is we're going to make. I learned a lot doing this, so I'm going to show you right from the get-go how to set this card up, how to cut it, how to make sure that your curve is exactly the same for the designer series paper that goes on top as it is for the actual cut of the S-curve. And it is a little tricky, but once you do it and I give you the measurements, it's going to be easy as pie, and you will impress people with this beautiful, very different gatefold card. So let me first show you this lovely paper. So I'm using this beautiful peach, what's it called? It's called Peach Designer Series paper, and it is gorgeous. Here is one of the designs. Isn't that just beautiful? So pretty, all kinds of things. It's non-directional. I got peaches going just about, well, I guess mostly I have them going that way and that way. Well, actually, they probably work all ways. And that has got little tiny peaches on the back side. And that's what that paper is like. Then we have this one, which is a pretty stripe. And it's got blue flowers. They look like little tulips on the back here. And then this paper, which is the one I used for my belly band, and it has blue stripes. So you could see putting these two together, and I don't see the blue, well, you do see the blue in the next paper coming up. That's one we've already looked at. This paper has blue in it, and on the reverse side of this it has these blue dots, but you can see where you might be able to put some of these other papers together with that. I love mixing patterns, but there's probably something there you can do. Then there's this large peach paper that is quite similar to this one without the white sprigs, but on a white background. and that one has this polka dot paper on it for the back side. And then this, which has little bits of blue in it, and it has a green kind of dashed watercolor look on the back side. Just beautiful paper all the way around. And I think there's a lot that we can do with this paper. So let me tell you what it takes to make this card. So I have a piece of Calypso Coral. Yeah, the coordinating colors with this are Balmy Blue, Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Early Espresso, Mango, Melody, Pale Papaya, Pear Pizzazz, Petal Pink, and Whisper White. So yeah, you can do all kinds of things. So this is 8.5 by 5.5 and is scored at 2 1/8 on both ends. And we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish that. And we're going to make what looks like a regular gatefold card, but that's not how we're going to use this piece of paper. It takes a whole piece of paper. I used a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet to make this gatefold card, and I'll show you exactly what I did to do that. So what we're going to do is, like I've taught before, in order to get your gatefold going right, first of all, you have to burnish this so that it's absolutely straight, and you have your top and your bottom perfectly aligned. Then you use this edge to bump up against, and then do your burnishing from there. And then you get a really good close on your gatefold. So that is, I didn't do a very good job of that. There we go. And we need this to fold just like it would if we were going to use this as a regular gatefold card. Then we need 2 more pieces of Calypso Coral. One that is 4.5 by 4.25 by 5.5, a full quarter sheet. And we're going to use that for the back of our card. Then we need one that is 5.5 by 3 3/4. Because of the fold here, to get a piece to fit on the inside, we need it to be just a little bit shorter than the inside so the gatefold closes properly. Okay, so why do I have all of these pieces of paper? Well, what happens is, let me just keep going. You need a piece. I use this polka dotted paper here, and this is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. Then I have a piece for my belly band, and it is 9.5 by 1.5. Then I have a 1/2 inch piece by 5 inches for the inside. So how do you cut this? So what I have set up is an example of exactly what I did to set it up. And that is this piece. So if we want the S curve to go down, we need a flat piece of paper for this to happen. This panel here is 4 1/4, which is a normal size for a regular card. So at the center of that, we scored these 2 pieces at 2 1/8. So the center of this is 2 1/8 inches. So what we're going to do is go to 2 1/8 inches from one side, and we're going to put a pencil mark here at 2 1/8. And then we're going to go all the way to the bottom and do that same thing. Put a pencil mark at 2 1/8. Then we're going to take our piece of designer series paper, and you'll see when I put it on here, it looks like it's going to have too much margin on either side. But you've got to remember that once we cut that paper, you have to move it back away from this edge to get a little border on this side and this side, and a border against your S-curve in the center. So this piece of paper is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And what we're going to do, the center of this is 1 7/8. So what I'm going to do is mark this little piece of paper on the bottom at 1 7/8 and at the top at 1 7/8. And there we've got our papers all ready to go. Then what I did was I put that piece of paper with all of its pencil marks. There's pencil marks, in fact you can see this one down here on this paper, and pencil marks on this paper. And I just used a little washi tape to put it so that my margins were right. And I'm going to cut both of these pieces of paper at the same time with this S-curve die. The thing is, if you don't do this and you get a nice S-curve on this piece, and then you go to cut this one and put an S-curve, you may not get it in exactly the same place depending on where you put your die. If your die is set instead of there, down here, that S-curve isn't going to match. Or up here, and that S-curve isn't going to match. So you either have to start it at one end or the other, or do what I've done and cut both pieces at the same time. Now, I'm going to go off screen, and I'm going to run this through my die machine. I've got it all set up here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is our piece cut, and the only thing we need to do is just very carefully remove the washi tape so that it doesn't tear our designer series paper or our card. And let me get that off. And if you just go slow, most times you can get it off without any difficulty. But the designer series paper is a little delicate in that regard. There we go. All right. So there is my piece all cut. Now then, my designer series paper now goes on here with a pretty good margin. Let's see, one of the things I need to do is take off all of my pencil marks here. And my designer series paper fits on here now with a perfect margin all the way around on both sides. So we're all ready to go. And I kind of liked my little dots over on one side. It's really however you want to do it. I would say that when you cut this, I would go over that die a couple times. You are cutting through two pieces of paper, although the designer series paper is very thin. It took getting a good pokey tool here to go through and get all of those little pieces out. So do yourself a favor, run it through a couple times, and then you won't have that issue. Okay, these are ready to adhere to our card base, and I'm just going to add my glue around the edge, and then I'm going to try to avoid these dots on this side. So I'm going to put my line of glue just on the inside of those dots. There we go. I think that will do just nicely. All right, so this piece is now ready to go on here, and I can set it up so that it's got the same margin top and bottom, and on this side of the dots here. So this one then needs to be done exactly the same way. So I'm going to follow my S curve around on this side and then down the edge on this side. Oh, and I'm getting glue. I didn't use my silicone mat, and I don't want a sticky surface, so I'm going to use my alcohol and get that picked up. Okay, so this one ready to go here, and a little margin here, and I'm trying to match the margin that I'm eyeballing from this side so that these two ends match. And there we go, all set. So there is the front of our card done. Now, what I'm going to do is put these two pieces together with the piece that I have that I cut a little bit short. So this piece is 4 1/8 by 5 1/2. So what I'm going to do is put this piece on the inside here like this and get it set up so that this gatefold has no problem folding and staying closed. So like that. It looks like that's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and put my seal. Let's see, I think I'm going to do this one piece at a time. I'm going to put my seal on both edges here. I just said I didn't have my silicone mat. I'm going to put that down now. Okay, so now this piece is going to go on here so that it absolutely is flush against the top and the bottom, and there's no problem closing that card. Okay, and now I'm going to use my bone folder here to get an extra push down on that. All right, now I'm ready to put this piece on here, and again I'm going to put my seal on the inside. You don't want to get too close to that fold there. And so I'm going to match that edge and push it in here so that it's near the fold but not right on it. And none of the top or bottom of that card is showing. There we go. All right, so that's what it looks like on the back side. So there is the inside of our card done, and this folds nicely. We have a perfect fit because we cut it here. Going to re-burnish my fold lines here, and we're ready to go. Now, this piece is going to go on the back and hide this. So it's going to be a very sturdy card by the time we get done. So this piece is going to go right on there and completely cover that back, and then we've got a very clean looking card. All right, so I just need to add some seal onto this card, and you could cut, I know those of you that want to be frugal can say, well, I'll just cut this back so that it just goes a little bit over, and do it that way, cut this piece just a little bit longer. But what's going to happen is you're going to end up with ridges when you go to write, or you go to do anything else on the inside of this. You're going to end up with some ridges wherever you've cut. That's why I made mine go all the way across. I want this to be pretty seamless as far as people's experience of this. They will wonder because it looks like it's all one piece. And you just have to get this. Usually this works pretty well where I set this up here, but before I push down, I get it lined up at the top and lined up on a flat surface on the bottom, and then push it into place. And there we go. We've got a clean back of the card and a real clean interior of the card. So there we go. That's how I did this one anyway. You're certainly welcome to try your own methods on this, but I find that this one worked really well for me. All right, I've just got little bits of extra glue there I want to get rid of. All right, so now then, I am ready. Get a few of these things pushed out of the way here to start putting more decoration and doing more with the rest of the card. All right, so this piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and that's going on the inside of my card. And the card that I did, I put a strip of this pretty paper that's going to be on my belly band here, and then I used some of this pale papaya ribbon. It doesn't show very well, so what I thought I would do on this one is I'm going to put 2 pieces of the papaya ribbon on either side, and then lay this strip in the middle. So I need a piece of this ribbon enough to go across here, so I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to cut a second one the same length, and I'll tell you what that length is here in just a flash. It looks like this one is about 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is use my dot runner, because this is ribbon and I don't want a big sticky mess. So I'm just going to put some glue on my ribbon here along the whole piece, and then I'm going to set it into place here on this edge of the card so that it has a nice border across. And then I'm going to add some glue to the back side and just anchor my ribbon here. Now, I know my piece of paper is a 1/2 inch, so I want my other piece of ribbon. Let's see what happens if I put them just side by side. Will that be enough to give us? It will. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll just maybe put a tiny slim border in between the 2 pieces of ribbon, but we sure don't need much. Okay, so now this piece of ribbon is all glued up, and I do think I'm going to leave just a hair between the 2 pieces of ribbon, like that. Get that put into place, and then anchor that piece of ribbon back here. Now then, I've got my 1 piece of designer series paper that I'm going to lay down here between the 2 pieces so that we see more of that pretty ribbon. Isn't that pretty? Very nice. I'm tickled with that. So now this is ready to go on the inside of my card. And I want to, let's see, there we go. Get this set, and I may put a few little extra flowers on the inside. If I do, I may not do it on the white card, but outside. So there we go. All right. So there, the inside of the card is done, and the actual gatefold itself is done. So the next thing we're going to do is you need pretty good sized piece of scrap white to do all of your stamping. The ink colors I used for this were Pear Pizzazz and Calypso Coral. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I did for all of these pieces that are here. And we're going to use the Calypso Coral first. And I'm going to grab my mat, and I have my peach, and I'm going to stamp my peach full strength. There it is. I'm going to stamp a couple of them because I'm going to use this for a swap that I'm doing with a group of people. And you'll notice that this peach I love these distinctive stamps because it adds texture and color and depth just by stamping. It's great. And then I want to show you here, I have these little flowers. Let me show you this stamp set on this. This is the Sweet as a Peach stamp. I'm using this leaf, the big peach, these 3 flowers. I'm using this piece, this flower center, and this one has hello and friend here, and I put these 2 together, so I'm using these 2. So I'm using this, and this. So that's what I'm using there. Of course, I used my curvy dies here to get my S curve. Then I did also use from Ornate Frames my little frame. Where did it go? I've got it here someplace. Here it is. My little frame for my Hello Friend, which we've got here and we're going to make. And then I used the peach dies, which are here. I don't even have them on a card yet. And I used the peach, this little stem here, and this big flower piece, and then I just dropped on the floor the 3 flowers, but that's what I used. Okay, so now what I want to show you is on these dies, or on these stamps, and when you're using the stamps and dies on this, that this is photopolymer, so they're pretty easy to use. But if you end up putting this on your block and you by accident stretch out one of the flowers, when you go to cut this with the die, it isn't going to work, and because it's stretched out of place and you'll never line it up. So what I found was that if I just laid this die in, or this stamp in my hand, and let it fall naturally where it wants to fall, and then picked it up with my block, I had much better success stamping this and then using the dies to cut out the flowers. And it cuts out 3 individual flowers. Same thing with this leaf stamp. This has so many moving parts on it that it's real easy to get this set down and have it be stretched out of shape so that when you go to use your dies, it really doesn't light up. So I did exactly the same thing. Lay it in my hand and let it lie as naturally as I can, and then pick it up with my block that way. And I had much better success both stamping and getting this die cut. On some of the early ones that I did, they were so far off that I had to end up fussy cutting around them in order to make them work. So you can save yourself a lot of time and effort if you let them naturally sort of settle the shape they want to be, and then pick them up, and you're far better off. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do are my little flowers here, and I'm going to go ahead and set that one up. That is all full strength. Now, I also set up Pale Papaya and a Mango Melody. If you notice the flowers in this suite, it's got little bits of orange, little bits of pale pink. It's got all kinds of things. So I did another thing in that I brought in a dauber, and I ran this around on the Calypso Coral just along the edges of the stamp, and then I used my dauber to pick up some of the Mango Melody here and put it in on the flower. So I picked up some of that yellow, and then I went back and picked up a little bit more of that Calypso Coral for the inside edges of the flowers, because I wanted to make flowers that really represented all of these different colors. I'm going to huff on that just a bit, and then I'm going to stamp that again. And so that time I got flowers that were have a little bit more yellow. This time I'm going to ink them up in the Mango Melody, and then I'm going to run them along the Calypso Coral and put Calypso Coral on the insides. And you can do this with the Pale Papaya as well to get even a lighter look, but this one should be way more yellow, and it does have variations in it. And then you can do one without re-inking in the Mango Melody and get some that are a little bit lighter in the Mango. And I'm going to do one more in the Mango, and then just add with my dauber some of the Calypso Coral around the outside of the edges. And let's see what that looks like. There we go. And there we get some more with some different colors. And depending on how you want your flowers to look, you'll do one of those combinations. Now, the next thing is these leaves, and let me close a couple of these things up here. And on these leaves, I used my Pear Pizzazz, and I just did these full strength. It looks like I've got a spot right in there. I can put some leaves, and a spot right here. I can put some leaves. And that still leaves me a spot down on the bottom to put this cluster of leaves. And if you're not making multiples, you don't need this much stuff, but if you do, and then you can use that. But there you go. And again, you get the variation of the lighter and the darker on these. Now, I've already done these, and then you would just go ahead and use your dies and cut those out. I have already cut mine, and what I did on my leaves is I took a green dauber here into the Pear Pizzazz, and I kind of went around the edges because I didn't like the stark white. And so I just colored in a little bit and went around the edges to kind of soften the white look around there. So I ended up with, oh, and when you do this, you do want to use this little flower center, because those flowers are pretty, but boy, when you add a center to them, they just change and become absolutely more flower-like. Isn't that amazing how much that changes that? Just adding flower centers to the flowers makes such a difference, and your project really does look finished. And so you can add centers, lighter and darker, and you can ink up every time or only ink up periodically here, and get all of your flowers set up the way you want them. There we go. All right, so that is the stamping that I did in order to get to this. Now, the other stamping piece that I did is I put my hello friend on this little tiny block, and I decided that I was going to do that on the basic white as well. And so I've got my hello friend here, and I just did that kind of right in the center, and I got them set up the way I wanted. And then this little frame here seemed to be exactly what I needed to set this up, and that came from the ornate frames, and I'm going to cut that one out. Okay, so here is my hello friend all ready to go, and then these are the flowers that I cut out, and some of them where they had too much white on the outside, I just used a dauber with a little bit of the Calypso Coral ink. It kind of went around the edges on a couple of them where it was just a little too much stark white for me. Okay, so what we have here now is, I think, all the things we need to make our belly band. So this is our card, and this is our belly band. It is 1.5 inches by 9.5 inches, and I think that's going to be plenty. And I'm not going to score this belly band. I'm just going to do a finger burnish here on this, and I want this to come around so that the majority of this decoration goes right over my join on this. And I want to set this up on my grid paper so my card is straight, and then my belly band, it doesn't matter which set of lines it's on, just so long as it's square. Now I can see here that my belly band is lined up with one of those sets, so I know it will be straight. And I'm just going to fold this end over, and then I'm going to fold this end over, and you see I'm leaving that bowed just a little bit, and that's going to help let it be just loose enough that it can come apart, and push back this way to get a belly band that will slide easily up and down my card. So on here, what I'm going to do is add some snail to this right on this edge. I'm going to add 2 lines of this snail, and this is the seal, so it'll be good and sticky. And you see, I'm not going to, in fact, I'm going to do that on the card so that I don't okay, so going to get that so those 2 papers are lined up perfectly. Get that set on there, and then put that in place. And now my belly band should slide pretty easily up and down my card. And I can push these back a little bit if it feels a little bit tight, and get it so that it is easy to slide up and down my card. Because we are going to add some decoration on the front, this can't be so tight that you can't get it to go. So now that we know this is the size, then I can do a little bit of burnishing so that I'm pushing it to the outer edges and giving myself as much room as possible. Now that should be perfect. To go on my card and slide easily up and down the card. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is decorate my belly band here. What I have on my belly band is one of these pieces of greenery put across the entire belly band, so that in this one I got the stem down, and on this one I want the stem up a little bit more, and I want it also upright enough that I see leaves on the top and the bottom. And so once I get that done, I'm going to take my silicone mat here, and I'm going to do this with my dot runner just in case I have to move something around a little. Okay, so across here, in fact, maybe this way, because my seam is over here, and that's where I'm going to have the peach and the hello friend. So this up on the band, this showing leaves coming down, and this with leaves going up. There we go. I'm going to put my peach with the stems on it. And I'm going to put that stem down just a little bit here. And so I'm going to add, again, a little bit of glue off the edge here. And I'm going to put that stem on that peach like that. All right. The next thing we're going to work on is the hello friend here. And I'm going to take that dauber that I had with a little bit of that pear pizzazz left on it and just give it a little definition here. Again, I'm not crazy about the stark white, but even that much, and I didn't even bother to re-ink it, that's plenty. And what I want to do is take that and fix it so that it's coming out from behind the peach, and it can be straight, it can be at a bit of an angle, and I'm thinking I kind of like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. I'm going to put my hello friend right in here, so it is the leaf for the peach is going to be on the top of this sentiment. Oops. I put glue on the wrong leaf. Let's see, where's my eraser? It's right in front of my nose. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that leaf so that when I put this on here, it's going to stick to the leaf and the peach. Get a little bit of glue off of there, and there we've got our hello friend all ready to go, and it's going to go right in here, and that way we see some of the leaves from the others behind it. And I did raise those on dimensionals. And let's see, there's one other piece I want to add to this. On this, you'll see I put a little bit of that ribbon. So I'm going to grab that ribbon and cut off two little pieces. And they don't have to be very big. Oh, these are maybe an inch, inch and a quarter. And what I want to do is I wanted to have just a little bit of that kind of a look. And I'm going to trim that so it's at an angle and put that ribbon on there. And then do the same thing with this little piece of ribbon and have it go on there. Now that's on the dimensional, so I might just add a glue dot on top of that ribbon to make sure that that stays put. So I'm going to grab a glue dot and I'm going to put it across all of that ribbon in there. And so I'm going to put my peach right here so I can see some of the leaves behind it. And I've got my hello friend there. And then I did add just a few of these flowers over here. And I think I'm just going to add, let's see, I added 2 before, and I think I might just add 1 flower right in here. We go. I think that'll do it, because I'm going to also add a couple of these artisan blooms sequins here, and I think I'm just going to use little ones, and I'm going to put one up here, and I'm going to put one right here on my sentiment. And I like the way that looks. It picks up the yellows and the oranges there, and it's a little less busy than this one. So there's my belly band, and that's ready to go on my card. And then we have one more piece to do on the outside of our card. So I'll set that aside, and you'll have to tell me which of those you like better, but this one got to be almost too much, and so I put some extra leaves and extra flower on there, and I think this one is a little more understated, but I do like the sparkle. So on this one, what I had done was taken this stem and set it down. Let's see, I set it right down in here, and I think I did it with a few less leaves. So I'm going to snip off those leaves there, and that makes this a little bit narrower to go in here, and still full enough that I think that works. I think that'll do it. So now I'm just going to add some glue, and I'm going to put this glue all over this, and quite a bit of it, because I want this, I don't want it to interfere with the belly band sliding on and off. So there we go, right in there. All right, now we have some of these extra little flowers that I've got here, and that is what I put in place on this stem. And we'll have to see how many we get on here, but it looks like I want like that. I think that looks good. I know it's 4 and not 5, but that's what I think is going to look best on the card. And there is the front of our card done. So now for the inside of the card, we have our decoration here, and it ended up being on this side. I usually put it on this side, but there's no reason it has to be. And we have that little piece of greenery that we cut away, and I thought it would be very interesting on the inside of the card. I've already got so much going on here, but if I were to add that leaf down here and put in one of the flowers down here, on the bottom. There we go. And so there is my card. Now let me add my belly band here. And it slides right over that little cluster of flowers. And the belly band can come right down here, and it looks like a continuation of the design. And there we go. And I am just tickled to death with this card. I haven't done one of these S curves in quite a while, and we've only got these curvy dies until the end of June, so you'll probably see me use them a couple of times here. I do love them. They add such a fun dimension to a card, and I love getting perfect S curves out of them. So there we go. Those are that is my project for the day. And there is my original card, and there's the one we made together today with minor changes, mostly making this belly band a little less fussy and adding the sequins to the belly band. So thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. We have a fabulous offer this month through the month of May to join Stampin' Up! $155 worth of product for $99 instead of the normal $125. And so there's an additional bunch of money to spend. You always get to decide what you want in your starter kit. It's kind of a fun thing, and I've had a couple people join this time, and I've been talking a little bit more about my team. We have lots of expertise on the team. We have a wonderful group of people on this team, and we do swaps, we have blog hops, and we have actually quite a few experts on the team that can help you with the technical side. Most of us are not techies. I mean, we're crafters and we're designers, and some of us have a little bit of technical knowledge, and some of us have almost none. So I keep someone on our team to help my team members with the technical side. And we have folks that can help you with social media. We have folks that can help with videos. We have all different kinds of things, if that's what you want to do. Now, we also have a lot of people on my team that have joined just for the discounts, and that's fine. If you buy enough Stampin' Up!, you want to at least get the discount so that you're not leaving money on the table. So give me a call. My information is always listed below the video. Be happy to talk to you about it. And love to have you on my team. So let's see, the prize draw this month is a $60 shopping spree on me. And you can put yourself in the drawing by putting an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!